and fought from the air against supremacist Nazi aggression during World War II. He is a living legend who, with strength of character, determination of will, critical intellect, and a commitment to academic excellence, entered the University of Chicago, earning the Bachelor of Divinity in 1953 and the PhD in 1962. It was at the University of Chicago Divinity School that he received his first faculty appointment and became a pillar in the construction of Religionswissenschaft. And he is a wonder of the world because at 91 years of age, he's continuing to be a productive scholar, evidenced by his latest publication, Ellipsis, the collected writings of Charles H. Long. Dr. Long began his career as a scholar in the same way he entered and engaged the enemy during World War II. He entered the academy with tenacity during a time when there were only a handful of African Americans engaging in religious studies. As a historian of religions, he never ceased from having an aerial view of interpretation and attack. With a passion for intellectual rigor and a desire for collegial exchange, Dr. Long became one of the founders of the Society for the Study of Black Religion in 1970. His hope and commitment was for the SSBR to be a space where we can push one another to think beyond the encampment that has been appointed to us by the restrictive gaze of white normativity. He desired our meetings to be a critical and precise dialogue that explores issues of deep existential meaning and phenomenological significance from a variety of fields and disciplinary approaches. Ellipsis appropriately makes its debut during our meeting, our annual meeting of the Society for the Study of Black Religion. This session, therefore, is devoted to critical engagement with the man, the method, and the meanings derived from nearly a century of thought. We have three colleagues, William Hart, Macalester College, Victor Anderson, Vanderbilt University, and Tracy Hucks, Colgate University, who will help us to engage the genius of Dr. Charles H. Long. Following their reflections, Dr. Long will respond, share an author's reflection, and engage our questions. We will proceed in that order without further introductions. Bill Hart, Victor Anderson, Tracy Hucks, Dr. Charles H. Long. I thought I was going last, but I'm happy to go first. Ellipsis is a graphic sign of absence and omission, that which does not appear, that within discourse that is made to disappear. As an archaeologist of human culture, Charles H. Long doggedly pursues knowledge of sacred and profane things, and yes, of grotesque and obscene things, such as the colonial and racial construction of religion. He has long pursued the traces of those realities marked by the ellipsis. Those things that are absent, omitted, or otherwise made to disappear. His interest in these opaque
and oppugnant realities, and his pursuit of them past the red meat and all the way down to the marrow of inquiry marks his distinctiveness as a scholar of the sacred and the profane. Long is a deep sea diver, searching for the primordium in human culture, for beginnings that have always already begun, for excluded terms, hidden figures, and ways of being otherwise. Long's work shows that religion isn't simply a matter of ideas, but of materiality, the imagination of matter. This is why material accumulation, especially capitalism, is integral to the very constitution of religion as a category of understanding and as a category that needs to be understood. Religion is a zone of cross-cultural contact, of exchange, domination, and subordination, where empirical others are constructed. It is in this ensemble of insights, I believe, that Long's genius truly lies. I think it appropriate then, occasioned by the publication of a volume of Long's collected writings, that we celebrate his contributions to the Society for the Study of Black Religion and to the International Society of Religious Studies Scholars. What could be more appropriate than this volume, than that this volume be titled Ellipsis? I respect the brother so much that he's making me nervous. I first encountered Charles Long, the work of Charles Long, in the early 1990s as a graduate student at Princeton. I took a course with one of his beloved students, David Carrasco, entitled Colonial Rights, where I learned that colonialism is not only an occasion for religious responses, but also itself is generative of forms of religiosity. And so that was a sort of foundational course in my formation. Shortly thereafter, I actually met the great Charles Long in person when Carrasco brought him to campus. David had established a center at Princeton to archive some of Charles Long's work to make sure that this great scholar was not forgotten. In a sense, I became Charles Long's student in absentia. I think that Charles Long has made many important contributions to the academic study of religion. I think among the most important things that he's done is to disrupt what I call the standard notion of black religion. That is the notion that black religion can sort of be reduced to the black church and to black theology. So what I think I'm going to do now is sort of read a paragraph that I wrote a few years back, because I think I probably say it best here. I don't think I can remember what I said then. What distinguishes Long from theologians, church historians, and church sociologists is his database, which includes the folkloric sources of the sacred in the black experience, especially the experience of God. These sources include slave narratives, sermons, spirituals, blues, and black folklore, the stories of Burr Rabbit, High John the Conqueror, and others. He is further distinguished by his methodology, a comparative, phenomenological, morphological, history of religions approach that affirms the sacred as the object of religious studies, that God is one of many ways in which the sacred appears, that the study of religion is irreducibly comparative, that religion is sui generis and must be studied in the last analysis with a distinctively religious methodology, that Religionswissenschaft embodies that methodology most faithfully, more faithfully than reductive methodologies of theology and the diverse non-religious specific disciplines that comprise the human sciences. So I think I'll sort of stop there. I'm reading from my third book. I'll give a plug for my third book, Afro-Eccentricity, Beyond the Standard Narratives of Black Religion. This book is expensive. It costs $90 now. So I bought Charles's book. I bought it without the coupon. Use your coupon. Buy the book by all means, but use the coupon. So I was told to stay within 10 minutes, and I'm going to be faithful to that. So I think what I will do so let me conclude with a reference to Long's programmatic essay on the study of black religion published in 1971. As you no doubt recall, Long identified 3 symbols and methodological signposts that should guide the students of black religions. 1, Africa as historical reality and religious image. 2, the involuntary presence of the black community in America. 3, the experience and symbol of God in the religious experiences of blacks. And here, if I can be so bold, I'll quote myself giving a brief interpretation of the first signpost in light of Long's first book, Alpha, the Myths of Creation. Long identifies 5 categories of creation stories: myths of emergence, world parent myths, creation from chaos and the cosmic egg, creation from nothing, and the earth diver myths. I suggest that we might better understand the significance that Long attributes to the image of Africa in black religion by considering the image of Africa in relation to these alpha myths or categories of creation. 1, Africa is the land of emergence, the great mother, the black earth from whose womb black people, indeed all people in black religion, were born. It is a magical land pregnant with potential and power. 2, Africa is mother and father, the aboriginal parents locked in an embrace of undifferentiated unity, the point where the regress of black genealogical inquiry, disrupted in unimaginable ways by the transatlantic slave trade, comes to an end. 3, Africa is the cosmic egg, in whose nutritious yolk and albumin life germinated and from whose shell life emerged, the chaos that an emerging cosmos overcame, the prototype of creation and procreation, physiological and spiritual vitality, fertility, and inspiration. 4, Africa is the creative void, the nothingness, darkness, and absence from which everything, plenitude, life, and presence emerged. 5, Africa is the firstborn, the place where dry land first emerged from the primordial waters. Aboriginal, sacred land, place, space. It is the first piece of soil that the earth-diving ancestor animals retrieved from the primordial depths. From this soil, the earth grew to its current magnitude, and from this soil, the ancestors of all humankind migrated around the world. Africa is the umbilicus of the human family. What sang the poet is Africa to me. Africa is the place of beginnings, the site of memory, dreams, and imagination, a point of reverence and nostalgia. Thanks, Charles.
Good afternoon. I learned a long time ago that repetition has its value in philosophy and in thinking, so some of you may have heard these meditations before. I presented to the Charles almost a little over a year ago. The reason I do it now is because it's part of a larger philosophical work that I'm working on called First Meditations in 3 parts on Charles Long's writings. First meditation is metaphysics is not innocent. I was a student at Western philosophy at Calvin Theological Seminary, working a THM degree in philosophical moral theology and reading deeply into phenomenology of religion and hermeneutics. Many of the names of religion scholars who take up the first part of Charles' writing encyclications were my interlocutors, especially Hierdes Rendier, Religion, Essence, and Manifestation, and Rudolf Otto, Idea of the Holy. Just what is the essence of that thing to which I had to come terms with, namely religion? What categories frame its coming into articulation, speech, understanding, communication, and operation? What constitutes authenticity in religious experience? Many such questions were derived from my reading within and outside phenomenology. But none of the people I had been reading were black like me. there was no one among those that had been scripted to me to help me see the power of religious life and